Oh, shit. Here we go again.
The main point here is that this is something that it seems like it's beneficial, but I think this is one of the things that's holding baseball back is because, there's no cap. There's no,
that's what I want to say.
There's no cap. And so players are able to defer their contracts out, which helps the team, but overall it hurts the league because there's no parity. There's no chance for a team who can't spend as much money to compete with teams like LA, New York Yankees, New York Mets, with these big, huge markets. It kind of just handicaps the smaller markets.
Here we go!
1 year ago, yesterday, we dropped our first episode. So it's crazy how far we've come over a year. It's exciting. We've grown a lot. I mean, we're doing damn good numbers, better than I expected at least. So it's very exciting times and an exciting thing to be a part of. I know Murph's happy to be here and doing all this shit every week. It gives me a sense of purpose, I feel like.
Yeah, it seems like it's gone by fast, man. I wouldn't. Yeah. It hasn't felt like a whole year, and it hasn't felt like we've put out that many episodes.
Yeah, 50. This will be 53. 53 of these bad boys.
Hey, we gotta keep our nose to the grindstone.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode of Real Conversations with Cozy and Murph. I am JD Kozad, one half of the dynamic duo to be. I'm here with my co-host, none other than the great Cody Murphy. Cody Murphy, how are you doing today?
Great. I'm glad to be here. Glad to have another opportunity to put some good noise into some ear holes.
Some good noise in some ear holes. Yeah, I like that. Well, guys, we got a lot to talk about today. Of course, we're going to do our typical NFL stuff. We have Shohei Ohtani signing the largest North American sports contract, which when you think about the number, it's absolutely crazy. We'll get to that after the NFL, so stick around for that. We got LeBron James winning the in-tournament MVP and championship, which, how does this affect LeBron's legacy, as the people say? But let's go ahead and dive right into this last week. We're still neck and neck in the race, putting our best foot forward picks. Murph went 9-5. Me, I don't really know. I made a mistake in not keeping track this past week, so I'll run it back after this episode, and I'll figure out. We'll have to keep it posted. Thursday night, though, we saw Bailey Zappi show up, throw for 3 touchdowns. Ezekiel Elliott had 100 combined yards in the air and rushing, and the Steelers fall again. What's going on with the Steelers, bro? Are they falling off the face of the earth?
They're just struggling at the quarterback position. Mitch Trubisky is not it, and I feel like their defense is taking a step back, perhaps, and that's probably due to some injuries. But their offense has not looked good all year, and it just continues to falter under, poor quarterback play. I mean, it's not like Kenny Pickett was setting the world on fire, but now, he's injured, and so now you have Mitch Trubisky in there, which, we saw him in Chicago as a full-time starter, and now he's in the backup role in Pittsburgh, and it just doesn't look like he's progressed a lot. I mean, you know what you're going to get with Mitch Trubisky. There's no it doesn't seem like his game has evolved any, it's just like, this is what Mitch looked like, 4 years ago. So, I mean, and that's what the quarterback role is, or the backup quarterback role. That's basically what you do. I mean, everybody knows what you're getting with the backup. It's just now you have to, other facets of the team have to step up. And we're seeing that with Cincinnati, but Pittsburgh's just not able to figure it out, offensively. It's not like they don't have weapons. You have Pickens, Najee Harris, The emergence of Jalen Warren, Deontay Johnson, Freiermuth. So it's not like they don't have targets. It's just
right. They don't
have anybody throwing.
They've got the pieces, yeah, and it just doesn't make any sense. Granted, I didn't expect very much from this team per se, but it just, when you see what they can do and when they bring this to the table, it's like, what is the issue? Was it?
Well,
I mean, we were all blaming Matt Canada.
And that was a valid, rightly so. It was a very valid point. You seen what happened whenever they got rid of him, and then they had a 400-yard game or whatever. So, but now, with Pickett out, they're even more, hampered by, the things that were already an issue before. So, I don't know. They've probably had the 2 worst losses in a row of any team that I can think of. They lost to Arizona last week, who was 2-8, and then they lost to New England, who was 2-9, 2 weeks in a row. So I mean, that's brutal, absolutely brutal.
It's an ugly loss all the way around.
Shout out to New England, man. This game from the jump was nobody saw this coming. 3 first half touchdowns.
Oh,
I mean,
the best performance of the year for a Patriots team. I mean, which is crazy.
And what's more is they didn't even score in the second half, and they held Pittsburgh to 8 points.
Yep.
So,
well, the defense has been showing up for them, all in all.
Right. Yeah. You talked about that last week.
Their defense seems to show up when they,
even without their best defensive guys. That's the crazy thing. But Belichick still got it, I think.
That's about to say. I think Belichick still got his fastball. It's just
he's got to find somebody to coach the offense, and they've got to find a quarterback, like straight up.
And it's hard.
I think they'll go for Drake May. I think that's probably because Caleb Williams is going first overall, like no doubt.
Yeah, at this point. Well, that's going to be a question that I did want to ask you. Which this was a 1 o'clock game, so we can.
Yeah. Let's talk about Chicago here in a minute. To finish up Pittsburgh, New England. I mean, like I said, a total surprise game. Ended up being a pretty good game. It came down to a 3-point, deficit. So, Pittsburgh's got to figure it out if they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, they're still in the hunt, but man, losing to those 2 teams 2 weeks in a row, that's bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Pittsburgh's got to figure it out. Patriots, I didn't expect to even try to win this game, but they went out and pulled together. They
just had to show that they still knew how to win a game.
Yeah. It might have been that, Belichick might have been trying to coach to keep his job, but I'm sure they want to see what Belichick has with a top draft pick,
Right, yeah.
So we'll have to see what comes of that, which if he flops this next year with one of these top picks, then it's probably the time to move on. Because, I mean, if your defense is doing this right now and you can retain those pieces and just add a high-level quarterback, there ain't going to be no chance for you to continue. So, I don't know. I think Belichick, I think he's still got his fastball as a defensive coordinator. He just needs that offensive mind, like you're saying. I feel like that's what's lacking.
And it's hard to fill a Tom Brady-sized hole.
Yeah. At the end of the day, that's the hardest part is filling. I mean, Mac Jones put up some good numbers his rookie year, and he just fell so hard. Well, I know his confidence is destroyed, but
he regressed, and along with that, he's not great in the locker room. As far as everything that's come out about him, he wasn't really well liked in the locker room. So that definitely is going to go against anything. That on top of poor play. He's out. They don't want him there.
A bad mix. All right. That's the Patriots 21 over the Steelers 18. Steelers do fall to 7-6. Patriots move to 3-10. I think they still have the second overall pick. They basically just pushing the Bears to keep their first pick, put the pressure on them. Let's talk Buccaneers Falcons because it was the first game to kick off on Sunday. I want to get it out of the way for you because I know you're pretty much fed up with these Falcons. What the hell? What the hell's going on with the Falcons? It's another conversation, the same as the Steelers. It's like they shouldn't be like this.
They are better, so much better than what they've played, and it's crazy. 6-7, three-way tie in the NFC South. Somebody's got to win this division.
Right.
I mean, it's just hard to watch week in and week out. It's like, man, if we put ourselves in such great positions and then it's just like totally shit the bed.
Yep.
And the defense played well. I know they gave up 29 points, but the defense played well, put the offense in great field position. And they kept, they kept Tampa Bay's offense at bay. They were able to hold Baker Mayfield. It wasn't until the fourth quarter whenever it kind of got into a little shootout. But Falcons should have won this by 2 touchdowns. Easy.
Yeah.
Younghoe Koo missed 2 field goals. I mean, that's an anomaly that never happens. And I hate to pin it all on one guy, but man, Desmond Ridder is just hard to. It's just hard to watch, and I'm hope to God this is his last season in Atlanta. I don't even want him on the roster. He can go play backup for somewhere else. We have to draft a quarterback, or we have to trade because Desmond Ridder ain't it. And as much as I like Heineke, he's not the answer either. He's a bridge guy. He's the type that's gonna take you to, hold you over until you find your next QB1. But the Ridder experiment is over. It's done with. We've had enough of a sample size. He threw for 347 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, but the stat book does not show it all. He's just, I don't know, but he's not the answer.
I feel like he's just a walking liability. I don't know how to. It's just you never know.
He puts up good numbers though.
Yeah.
Except for but he's a turnover machine. He doesn't make smart decisions. And if we had somebody, it's like, okay, prime example, first drive of the game for Atlanta, they drive the ball all the way down to the, inside the 5-yard line, and they have Bijan Robinson running the flats wide open. All he has to do is put the ball on him, and it's a touchdown, walk in, and he throws it 5 yards over his head. And Bijan is not like, he's one of the most athletic dudes in the league, and he can't catch that ball. That's how bad it is. And so I don't even like thinking about it, but at the end of the day, we're still in the fight for the NFC South for a playoff spot. So I guess we're just going to keep rolling with Ridder and see what happens. But what I'm so scared of is like we start having success. Ridder starts playing better, taking care of the ball, and then they decide not to go after somebody in the offseason. Just because, Ridder had a good 4-game stint there at the end and got us in the playoffs.
Yeah. That would be my biggest concern is I think you guys need to
I hate to root against the guy, but I just don't want him to play well enough for ownership to be like, maybe we should retain him. Maybe, no, man. Let's move on.
Yeah, it's time to move on. I think you guys got to figure out a way to get out of that. I don't know the best way to do it.
I think we got to go for Fields or Murray. I think those are the 2 options. Maybe Kirk Cousins, but Kirk Cousins only has maybe 2 good years left in him. It's not like he's young.
Yeah, if that, and that in itself is going to be, I don't know. Would you would take Kirk Cousins right now?
No, but I'm saying that's the quarterback market. You've got Fields, the possible trade for Fields, possible trade for Murray, possible trade for Cousins, or
deal with Ridder.
Or try to draft somebody. I don't know. But kudos to the Buccaneers. This was a huge game for them. They're basically playing for to stay in the contention for NFC South in the playoffs, and they did what they had to do. Took care of business. It's three-way, like I said, three-way tie in the NFC South. Buccaneers, I think they have the tiebreaker. I don't know how all of it works, but it's Buccaneers, Falcons, Saints, and then you have the Panthers. So the worst division in football, but it does hold a playoff spot. So
yeah, which the Buccaneers seem to only beat the teams in the division. If you're anybody, is anybody deserving? It kind of begs the question, what should there be
divisions,
conferences? Yeah, divisions like this. Should it just be conference best, whatever record?
Well, I think that in the NBA, I think that's what they're moving towards is they're going to basically they take the best 8 teams and then you have a 4-team play-in tournament.
Yeah. I think that's the situation that we would have. Like, you got to think about it because the Bills could they could end up having like 10 wins and not make the playoffs in their division. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I mean. You need to have the best teams in at the end of the year. That's the whole point. You shouldn't have a team with a losing record just because they won a division.
Yeah. In
the playoffs, they get a home playoff game because they won a division that was the worst division in football.
Yeah. How does it change your perspective though if they go on a run and win it all?
Who?
The Falcons.
I'm not even going to entertain that idea because I know it's not even possible.
He's like, I'm not even going to put myself in position.
I'm not even going to put energy towards that because that's not even a possibility.
Oh, Lord,
I just hope we have a winning record.
Yeah, at the end of the year, it'd be a fucking miracle, right?
Yes.
Oh, the NFC South. I was listening on part of my take, and they were like, just put them on the Pac-12 network. They don't deserve. Yeah. They don't deserve full TV rights.
Put them on PBS or something.
Yeah. God. You actually have to go actively searching for them.
Just put them behind a paywall, and you have to pay in order to watch. I honestly wouldn't watch.
No, at this point I wouldn't. I just opt out. Lord. All right, let's talk Lions at Bears. Lions fall to 9-4. Losing 13-28 to the now 5-8 Bears. Justin Fields 223 and a tutty in the air. Used his legs some. DJ Moore showed up big time. Lions falling, but the Bears finding a way of late at least to put it together.
Yeah, I don't believe the Bears are as bad as we thought they were. They're showing some fight here, winning 5 games, which is great and all. But I have a future on them to win under 5.5. So you're gonna need them to stop winning now and lose the rest of your games. Yeah, no more winning, Bears. You showed that, and they're kind of in the same predicament as the Falcons as far as I know they're more than likely moving on from Fields, but Eberflus has now got the defense it's one of the top offenses in the league in Detroit. It held them to 13 points. And all in they scored all those points in the second quarter. So Eberflus has now got that defense looking pretty formidable. They should have won. They should have beat the Lions earlier, a couple weeks ago. And then, now they're able to hold that lead and take the dub. So they're trending in a good direction right now. Like what you see if you're a Bears fan. Shout out Tony.
Big Tony. This is where I wanted to get to earlier. At this point, do you keep Justin Fields? That's what I'm saying. He looks good, or is it just blazing stock? You know what I'm saying?
Yes, it's his trade value. It's trade value at this point because Caleb Williams is going number 1 overall, and more than likely, Carolina's going to have the worst record in the league, so the Bears get that number 1 overall pick. And I think, Williams is going number 1 overall. They're going to get rid of Fields, and they're probably going to draft a receiver, or I don't know if they'll draft a receiver, but Hopefully, I'll say they'll go with a defensive pick. But I think Fields is done in Chicago. Now, and as far as the coach, Eberflus, I don't know. That's a tough one because, like I said, they've showed some fight here in the last few weeks, and they've had some good wins.
My brain is saying keep Fields still, draft a quarterback regardless. But then again, they could really pull in a good pick with Fields because he is putting up good numbers. I don't know. I'm very much in the middle on that one because if they built a team around him, he's got the talent of. I mean, I would say Fields is better than. I mean, the only person that I think in the draft that could possibly be better than Fields is Caleb Williams, right? But do we know Caleb Williams isn't going to be this issue, or at least Justin Fields keeps his nose clean, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you always have that fear whenever you have some, a generational talent come in and, he's got all these demands or not, or maybe not all the demands, but, he has a certain vision of how his future with your organization is going to be. So he has expectations coming in and he knows that he has the power because he is the number one quarterback and one of the best quarterbacks we've seen coming out of college in, since Burrow probably.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It is a kind of a sketchy situation for the Bears because you don't want to play too good that now you have a quarterback controversy or a coaching, decision to make. But they're fun to watch. I will say that. They're fun to watch.
Yeah.
And as far as the Lions go.
Yeah, I was about to say, what do you think about the Lions? What's going on?
Their defense is not very good. They started out well this season and have slowly regressed now into, giving up just a ton of yardage and a ton of points. I think Dan Campbell, this is a test for the next month. They've got to play well if they want to have any momentum going into the playoffs because they haven't looked great the last 4 weeks. So now the last 4 weeks of the season, they need a strong outing. They've got Denver, Minnesota, Dallas, and then Minnesota again. So kind of tough there with Denver and Dallas, but the Vikings are winnable games for them.
Yeah, I agree. I'm hoping they kind of put it together. I'd like for them to push for that 1 seed. I don't think they're going to make it now, but it's either like you get the best of Jared Goff or you get the worst of Jared Goff, and their defense too is very susceptible.
Jared Goff doesn't play well outdoors.
Yeah, that's
in the
definitely
cold.
What it is.
That is a big factor for him.
Yeah. I don't know. Dan Campbell's got this team. You can't take away from the fact that they are 9-4.
Right.
And they're 5-2 on the road.
But like I said, this is a test. They need to bounce back here in the next, last 4 games. They have to come out and put a hurting on Minnesota. It's a division game, and Minnesota is in a predicament right now with their quarterback. So it's very imperative for the Lions to win next week.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. We got them. You said what? I can't pull up their slate. They need to win. All right. What about the Colts at the Bengals? Colts fall 14-34. Jake Browning puts up another big game. People are saying this is the new Tom Brady taking over. I don't know if I believe that yet.
The man's definitely getting paid off this year.
Oh, yeah.
He's definitely got himself paid.
Yeah, I'm impressed by what Browning has done. I think it's very respectable at this point to say, he's very deserving of the praise because he did have a great run in college, obviously. Noted that he took Washington to the college football playoff, but it got forgotten, I think, because he, was sitting behind one of the best draft picks in the last decade. So good for Jake Browning, 275, 2 tutties. I mean, back-to-back wins, 2-0 as a starter, and it's good for him. I think this is good for the Bengals. They're a scrappy bunch. I would be worried to play the Bengals come the end of this year.
Yeah. I mean, they've overcome this adversity, with Burrow going out. And I think it's a testament of the roster, just the strength of the roster. They've got dudes on offense, man. I mean, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon. I mean, and there's a couple Bengals fans. I have a couple friends that are really diehard Bengals fans. And they were all doom and gloom whenever, it came out that Burrow was going to miss the rest of the season. And I told them, look, I said, you still have a top, I would say top 3 receiving core and Chase, Higgins, and Boyd. And then on top of that, you've got that the tight end. I can't think of his name right now, but the tight end.
I'm pretty sure they have Higbee. No,
Tanner Hudson.
Yeah.
He's been playing really good here of late. And I was like, look, you still have a reason to hold out hope. All you need is Jake Browning to be good enough to get you over. And the defense is solid. And like I said, the players around Browning are solid. And he's a surprise. I don't think anybody saw this coming out of the backup quarterback. I had never seen him play before this season.
No, I had no idea what he could or could not do. But I think he seems to be a good, cool, calm, collected leader. I mean, he's very similar to the Burrow mindset. It seems like the way he carries himself, at least in watching him in this.
Well, and they keep talking about his high school. He was one of the best players in California high school history. And, he's just played a lot of ball. He's played a lot of ball at a high level. And so he knows the recipe for success. It's trust your receivers, trust your coaches and the play call. Don't turn the ball over and be smart. Run the ball, get down. Don't take sacks. And it's just like, that's what I'm saying. He's not doing anything spectacular. I feel like he's just playing within the system of Zach Taylor. And I think it's a testament to Zach Taylor's ability as an offensive coach that he can take Browning, who really hasn't done anything in the league thus far, and he's able to elevate him in a high pressure situation. Yeah, because they're right there in the thick of it too. Just like Pittsburgh's still in the thick of it, they're fighting for the playoffs as well.
Yeah.
So are the Colts, but man, the Colts are just Minshew. He has his flashes, but he also has his
bad moments. Yeah,
he has the ups and downs. He's very streaky. I feel like.
Yeah, and they've been without Jonathan Taylor the last 2 weeks too, and I think that's a big part of like them having issues. But then again, to fall to this Bengals team, by 20 points, I don't think was expected in any sense.
No,
I think they were expecting a better performance.
I think the line was only 2.5. Colts were 2.5 point underdogs, so Vegas thought it would be a lot closer as well.
2.5. Good game, Bengals. That's a tight division right now. I'm still pulling for the Bengals. It's always a good story when you see the backup pull it off. I mean, granted, I'd still like to see Gardner Minshew get his playoff shine and see what he can pull off of it. So these are two teams that I like a lot, and I think they're still going to be pushing down towards the end of this hunt, especially with what's going on with her in Jacksonville, which is a good segue right into Jacksonville falling to Cleveland. Joe Flacco impresses again. Still got superb arm talent, 311 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, that was a big game by Joe Flacco. I mean, he's throwing the ball, I feel like he's better now than he was when he was with the Ravens years ago.
Yeah, and something I was thinking about, how long has it been since he has played?
I want to say he was on the Jets roster last year, I want to say.
Right, but he didn't play because even they put they had Mike White, and then they put the other guy in there over Flacco. I can't remember his name, but anyway, Flacco is probably the healthiest he's been since his rookie year coming into the league. Think about it, you take a year and a half off, you let your body get healthy, you're able to play at a higher clip even as an older player. Because like you said, he still has zip on his, he still has plenty of arm talent. Bart Scott was saying, he was on Pardon My Take, and he was talking about Joe Flacco's arm, and he said he has top 5 arm in the history of the league.
Yeah,
like just as far as power.
The dude can he can sling a
he
rock.
Can toss it. Yeah.
Granted, he's a big dude, and I think people also forget that too. He's like 6'5".
Right, and whenever I was watching this game, I was like, damn, I forgot how big Flacco was, because he's as tall as the lineman.
Right. He's a big ass dude, huge guy. And it's a cool story too, the fact that, he can show up. And we've been saying it all year, right? If the Browns can have a quarterback that can just push the ball downfield and out of the other team's hands, like, this is a team you do not want to face. And it shows. I know the Jaguars are reeling, and Trevor Lawrence probably shouldn't have played because it looked like he was hobbling a bit. But still, like, this is the crunch time. This is crunch time for every team. And the Browns are going to find their way into a playoff at this rate. And I, as a fan of the Eagles, I wouldn't – if we came across them obviously it'd have to be the Super Bowl. But I'm saying if we came across them right now, I'd still be nervous to play them, They've knocked off good teams this year. Yeah, they have some ugly losses, but it's usually after they lose somebody. So I'd be afraid to play them. As for the Jags, I think I'd want to play them right now.
Yeah, they're on the downturn right now. They've got to figure out Trevor Lawrence and get him healthy. That's really what it depends on, because C.J. Beathard is not – they're not good enough to win with C.J. Beathard.
No.
And – If Trevor Lawrence can't get healthy, if he can't go, then that the Jags are pretty much screwed. It's not the same situation as Cincinnati and Jake Browning, where you have all this, you have a solid base around you. Which, I mean, I know the Jags also have weapons, but they're not built the same way that Cincinnati is. And they're just It's going to come down to the health of Trevor Lawrence for the Jags. The Browns, they're a team you don't want to play come playoff time.
Yeah.
They will. They're the type of team that has the potential to ruin somebody's season.
Yeah. I agree. I'm definitely on the same page as you there. I wouldn't want to play the Browns. Jaguars, granted, they've had some peaks this season, but they're so streaky and up and down, so I mean, they're in a tight race themselves, so it's going to get itchy.
The Jags kind of remind me of the. They kind of remind me of the. Who was I going to say? Oh, the Dolphins. Yeah, they kind of remind me of the Dolphins.
Right, they're just kind of they're lingering. They're a little bit of frauds. All right, we have an ugly game where Derek Carr refuses to go out of the game, even though every week it seems like he is getting battered and bruised. Saints take the Panthers 28-6. Bryce Young he led the game with 137 yards passing, bro. Derek Carr, another injury, but seems to stay on the field.
He's scared for his position, I feel like. I think he knows that Jameis would probably play better. And so he's not going to come out of the game. And I respect it. I mean, hell, if you know somebody's nipping at your heels, why would you step down if you think that you can compete for the job.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's not lighting the world on fire, but they are, tied for first in the worst division. But you can only do what what you have in front of you. You can only play who you've got in front of you. So, and he's gutting it out, maybe, and he might be at the point where he's actually a detriment to the team. But hey, I mean, what are you going to do? You paid it, the Saints paid him all this money to come and be in their organization. Of course, they're going to play him. They've had Jameis for, a couple years now. So it would be cool to see Jameis get in there and see what he could do. I mean, we did see him earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Almost pull off a comeback, but also threw some bad interceptions.
Throws. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some mistake throws, but I mean, that's just Jameis's game. I think he deserves a chance, and it's kind of sad that he hasn't even gotten the chance, though. Like, I feel like he's deserving at least of an opportunity to make those mistakes. Even when he's in, it's like, yeah, he's had his flubs, but then again, he's also been the saving grace for a lot of points. It seems like he's always there to fall back on. And I think he gets thrown under the bus in most of these scenarios, which is unfortunate. Because I really like Jameis. I think he's proved himself as a character in this league. He's kept his nose out of trouble since the whole incident in college. He's done exactly what's been asked of him. I mean, when he wasn't ready, he started in Tampa Bay. This is kind of like a sob story for Jameis. It's like watching somebody wither away right in front of you,
I think he's doing just fine. He's just waiting for his opportunity.
Yeah.
He reminds me of like a Geno. Like he'll bounce around a couple teams and then he'll finally get a shot and play well enough to be a consistent starter.
Yeah.
Because Geno's had a revival here. Yeah. And as far as the Panthers
team. Sorry.
No, the Panthers, they're just awful. There's not anything else to say. They're just god awful.
Yeah, they're not a good team. That's what I was saying is like, I don't want to call Bryce Young a flop because their whole team is bad. But at some point, you've got to go, is he really going to be a part of the solution? At any point, like how far do you have to go to get to the point where Bryce Young is part of the solution? You know what I'm saying? Like,
well,
is this team is this team going to be able to rebuild in a short amount of time to where you're going to catch, I don't know, 4 or 5 years? You think they can turn it around to where Bryce Young's stayed alive for that period of time? You know what I'm saying? Like, he's going to die at this rate.
I mean, it is on ownership. They have to get a good support system around him. You can't expect a rookie quarterback to go out there and with nothing, with no, consistent offensive coaching, no weapons, really, no defense. I mean, what do you expect him to do? There's nothing, and you've got an impatient owner who's going to fire anybody who doesn't do exactly, what he says. Well, so it's just a bad situation for Bryce Young. It's hard to tell if he's a bust or not because the organization that he got drafted by is in absolute shambles right now. And until they get their act together, you can't expect you can't expect much from Bryce Young.
It's unfortunate.
I feel bad for the kid, honestly.
That's what I'm saying. I feel bad for him. Like, he got thrown into the worst of the worst situation, and it's just devastating at this point.
The fact that they won one game is actually, I think we're going to look back after the season, and the fact that they actually beat somebody, and not, they beat the Texans. So head to head, he's 1-0 against Stroud right now. So
yeah, against his counterpart. That's wild.
So we're going to look back and say, man, it's amazing that they even won one game.
They even won a game. Lord. Speaking of the Texans fall 6, and they lose, or 6-30 to the Jets, and they lose C.J. Stroud in the process. Zach Wilson has possibly the best game of his career. It is the best game of his career, especially the best half, because that second half he put on display. I think the Texans kind of fell out of it once they saw Stroud was done for the game. They were like,
Yeah,
we're not really here for shits and giggles. Like we're trying to win ball games. So I think they were a little devastated, and it crushed them a little bit. Singletary still had a big game out of the backfield. Garrett Wilson goes over 100 yards receiving. Jets, with all their controversy, win a big game. I still think give credit where credit is due. Obviously, they pulled out a W, but I think it's credited to shutting down Davis Mills in the process. So I'm not too concerned with the Texans. I think if they get Stroud back, unless it's concussion protocol, then there's a real issue. But for the time being, I think they're going to be all right.
Yeah, the Jets they kind of like build up all this rage and like emotion and everything, and it seems like once every like 4 or 5 weeks they'll come out and just play lights out football. And this was just one of their. I feel like it's one of their releases. They had all this controversy once again over the quarterback position, because it comes out that Saleh had asked Zach Wilson to start, and Wilson said, I don't want to play. And then he comes out and has the best game of the year. Like, what the fuck is going on? And then the Texans come out and absolutely lay an egg, something that we haven't seen all year. This team has been competitive all year, and then they choose, week 14 against the lowly Jets who are dejected, and everybody's talking about how the season's over. And then lay an absolute egg, only score 6 points. I think they only had a net of 54 passing yards on the day. Your quarterback goes out with a concussion now, which probably means he's out next week, if not the week after that. So, man, bad week for Houston. Great week for New York.
Go for the Jets. They find a way. I think they've got rid of the cancer that was in their locker room. I know that there was some controversy around, like you said, Zach Wilson starting again. I think he was just trying to say, I'm tired of being the scapegoat here. I think this is all going to come to a head at the end of this year. I think Saleh's going to go. I don't know if Zach Wilson's going to go, but at this point, if I was him, I'd want to go. Definitely don't think Aaron Rodgers is coming back. He kind of hinted at it at the Pat McAfee show, but at this point, I think it's safe to say, kind of do what
He's
you got to do.
He's not coming back.
No, and it's not even. It's not worth it.
Not this season. He'll be back next season, but
yeah, Lord, I'd like to see Aaron Rodgers play again. Hopefully he doesn't decide all in all just done. Especially if the team goes to shit and people start leaving. It'd be like, I guess it wouldn't be no different than playing on the Packers, but I think people will want to play for him. Oh well. All right, let's talk about this overtime thriller that was the Rams at the Ravens. Walk-off, punt return, touchdown in overtime for Tylan Wallace. 76 yards, took it to the crib, won the game in overtime. It was a good game. I think the Rams have had a much better than expected season. I know we were, especially myself, I was shitting on them earlier this year, saying, they didn't deserve to be on the field. But Stafford, when he is upright and healthy, he is still one of the elite quarterbacks in this game. And they've definitely found somebody elite in Kyron Williams. That dude can tote the rock. 25 carries for 114 yards. I feel like he's a guaranteed 100 yards every time he plays. Every time. It doesn't matter. Cooper Kupp. They've got Puka Nacua. They've got Tutu Atwell. They've got guys all the way around. It's just their defense gives up so many fucking points.
Yeah, McVay, he's got that offense firing on all cylinders. Stafford looks like like I said, I think I was texting you. I said they look like they're, if they add some pieces in the offseason, they could gear up for another, one more run with Stafford next year. He looks like he's still got some gas left, and
yeah,
they've got good young weapons now, in addition to Cooper Kupp. A guy who's won pretty much every award you can win as a receiver in the league. They just, like you said, they've got to build on the defense. They've got to fill some holes there, find some guys in the secondary that can cover well. But this was a very entertaining game. It was probably the best game of the week, I would say.
Yeah, it was the funnest.
In my
game
opinion,
to watch, for sure.
it was. Yeah, it was fun for sure. But the Ravens, they were the better team, and it came down to a punt return for a touchdown. I'd like to know how often that happens, like throughout a season. Like how many games are ended on a punt return for a touchdown in overtime? No less.
I want to say that.
I can only think of one. I can only think of one other time it happened this season, which was the Monday night game against the Jets and the Bills. Whenever Rodgers got hurt, that game ended on Xavier Gibson.
Walk off. Yep. Which is crazy.
I mean, you love to see it.
I bet it hasn't happened twice in a year, though, in a while.
Who knows, man? That's just a wild stat. Yeah.
Yeah. I have to look into that. Maybe you need to work for ESPN coming up with wild stats, because I ain't seen nobody put nothing out on that, because that's definitely different. It was a high-scoring game. Lamar Jackson's, 316, 3 touchdowns, had himself another game. The Ravens are prompting themselves into the, top 3, top 5 conversation of teams this year. They scored a lot of points, but watching them, they seemed dysfunctional, which you wouldn't expect of the Ravens offense has run so smooth, and I feel like it's finally catching up with them that they've lost their running backs, and they're back to relying on Lamar Jackson's feet. But when he can put it up in the air like this, I think they can pretty much beat anybody. I think it's time for Lamar Jackson to get his praise. He's been, I think everybody forgets that this past offseason they were talking about where's Lamar Jackson going to go. We were having episodes about, Lamar Jackson's contract deal and where he's going to sign and what he's going to do, yada, yada, yada. And it all came to be the fact that he came back to the Ravens, and they're 10-3 at this point, leading the division.
Yeah, I would put Baltimore probably number 4 best team in the league. 3 or 4. Lamar's playing at probably the best football he's played in his career without J.K. Dobbins, without Mark Andrews. So I think they're definitely a title contender. I don't think the Chiefs would want to play Baltimore next week.
Hell no. I think the Ravens would thrash the Chiefs at this point. The Chiefs are in despair, and I can't wait to talk about them. We do have 2 games to fill in between there. So, ladies and gentlemen, please stick with us at least for that. We have to talk about the ugliest game of the day, which is the Vikings at the Raiders. 3-0, and it was last. What was it, like 40 seconds left? Field goal goes up for the win for the Vikings.
Yeah.
Vikings
there's not really much to talk about. Vikings won 3-0. I mean, probably the worst game of the year so far. As far as entertainment value, the game was played in between the 40s. Nobody got past the other 40. It was like, I don't know. It was terrible. I didn't pay much attention.
No, I wasn't really focused on this game. And I didn't really come into it expecting much, but I think the biggest turn away from this game is kind of, 2 of the better stories of this season are over. The Dobbs experiment and the Anthony Pierce coaching gig. I think it's falling.
I don't think it's over for that. I think Dobbs is done. But I think Pierce still has an opportunity. Like, they still have 4 games left. I think he has an opportunity to prove himself. They can go 3-1 or even 2-2, but put up a good fight. I think that shows enough to maybe where they'll sign him over the offseason.
Yeah, I want him to. I think he's very much deserving. He at least should get the opportunity to defend himself and defend the culture that he's put together. I'm an Anthony Pierce guy. What's that? I'm an Anthony Pierce guy. That's what I'm pulling for, is some kind of feel-good story. I mean, I'm also a Josh Dobbs guy. I think he deserves his chance. It just seems like he's not putting it all together. with Stefanski in that offense. It was like he was better on short notice, putting everything together. Just kind of, it just seems like it's all falling apart.
He's had time to learn. He didn't know anybody. Offense.
Yeah, he knows too much. He's overthinking it at this point. Aiden O'Connell, 171 yards and interception. There's not really any takeaways of this game. It's ugly. I don't even think we need to dive any deeper than that on it. Maybe we can dive deeper into this next game. Senior Brock Purdy, 368 yards as he leads the 49ers over the divisional rival Seahawks, 28-16. McCaffrey, 145 on the yard. He ripped off a big 73 piece, I think, to start the game, which is cool because I feel like long runs have been forgotten in this game. Like they don't exist anymore. It's like all short across the field instead of down the field. So that was kind of cool to watch. Brock Purdy, man, he's putting himself in that conversation for most deserving for MVP alongside Dak, I think.
Yeah, I think those two are probably your front runners right now. Purdy, week in and week out. You know, I think there's only been maybe one or two games he's really had like a bad performance. And really even his bad performances weren't, you know, compared to, say, the standard of other quarterbacks throughout the league. They're not even terrible. You know, the team still had a chance to win there in the end. But putting up that, you know, almost 400 yards. He's got a great supporting cast, though. Let's not kid ourselves. It's probably the best, you know, 49ers, I think, far and away are the best team in the league right now and probably will end up in the Super Bowl. You know, Philadelphia might have something to say about that, but Dallas might have something to say about that. But right now, 49ers, I would put them winning the Super Bowl. I would take them to win the Super Bowl. And Seahawks, they did better than I expected them to play. Yeah. They kept it close. But, you know, Geno was a late scratch. I didn't even know he wasn't starting until it was too late. And I couldn't change him out of my lineup. Yeah. No, I couldn't change him out of my fantasy lineup. So, I mean, Seahawks just have a very tough schedule. And next week they've got Philly coming in.
Oh, we need that get-right game.
Philly, Tennessee, Pittsburgh, and Arizona. So it kind of lightens up here the last 3 weeks. But, man, they went Niners, Dallas, Niners, Philadelphia in 4 weeks. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4 weeks. They've played San Francisco. They've played San Francisco twice, Dallas, and then Philadelphia. I mean, that might be the toughest stretch in the league all year.
It's definitely in the conversation for toughest stretches. And, I mean, they're doing, I think, better than what people had originally expected them to do. I didn't anticipate them to be 6-7 this year, even after the success of last year. So I'll give, you know, Pete Carroll his love for this masterful coaching that he's put on for this year. So
first time in the Pete Carroll era that they've lost 4 in a row.
Really?
Yeah.
That's tough. It's unfortunate. And they're still 6-7, which is incredible. They had a super hot start, so I mean I know that plays, but good for them. They're 2-5 on the road. That's unfortunate. That's obviously it plays back to that 12th man we all love and know from the past. You know they're great at home. What does that make them? That 4-2 at home. Oh Lord. 49ers, probably the best team. I'd put them. We're going to do a power ranking here after we get through these picks and do that. I'd like to crank out your top 5 across the league. But I'm going to let you know now the 49ers are my number 1 at the moment. There's about 2 teams that are fighting for their lives at this point. It is the Bills and the Chiefs. Bills find a way in all of the ugliness that the Chiefs do. Bills win 20-17. Not very, many stat-wise to take away Mahomes, 271 in the air. But the end call was the big thing to talk about. And another Kansas City wide receiver costing the Chiefs a win. The moral of the season, the moral of the story, I think.
Yeah, I think you have to cut Kadarius Toney.
He should have never got on the bus.
That's at least 2 games this year that he has straight up cost the team. And I mean, I just don't know what you do. Mahomes can bitch about the refereeing, which I understand his gripe. Everybody has a gripe with the refs. It doesn't matter. Yeah. That's why it sucks to be a ref, because it doesn't matter what you call. Everybody's gonna bitch. So, I understand his frustration, but also, it's not like Kansas City has never benefited from the referees, right. Like, come on now, let's be real. But I think you should be more angry with your receivers.
Yeah.
Something that kind of struck me is like, what would Tom Brady do if his receivers were this bad? He would be in their fucking shit. He would be screaming the entire fucking time. And that's kind of what I don't get. Like, I get Patrick is a different personality, but to me, like, you got to get on their ass, man. They've been bad all year. And I'm not saying go up out in the media and throw them under the bus, but I'm saying, like, on the sideline and in the fucking meeting room and in the, on the practice field, you got to be after those guys all the time, on their ass. Because I don't want to, I'm not going to sit here and say it's never Patrick Mahomes' fault. He has thrown errant passes. He has thrown some bad picks. He has turned the ball over this year. I'm not going to sit here and act like he hasn't had his goof ups. But 90% of the time, Patrick Mahomes is going to put it on you. It's your job to catch the ball. He's going to give you a catchable ball. He's going to give you a chance to go and make a play. And they just haven't this year. And it's been atrocious all year. There's been no improvement. It's like every game, there's going to be at least 2 passes that should be touchdowns or first downs that are going to get dropped. At least 2, if not 3 or 4. And it's the Chiefs have lost all momentum they had going for them so far this season. They have to have a bounce back win coming up, but they're probably the least worried I am about any team that had lost this week.
Yeah, I think they'll figure it out.
That's the team that I'm least worried about.
Yeah,
as far as getting the shit together.
If anything, Patrick Mahomes can woo you. I've seen him do it time and time again, and it sucks to say, like, we've all fallen victim to Patrick Mahomes, which is a story as old as time at this point. It's like, if you have Mahomes in a game, you have a chance.
I mean, you think Mahomes with the ball, all they have to do is score, get in field goal range. Yeah. To tie or win. I mean, that's almost a guarantee,
Yeah, that's money.
So it's like when Brady got the ball at the end of games, I mean, they're probably going to tie it up or win right here.
Yeah. You basically look at it and you go, you left too much time for Mahomes.
Something that I like, that kind of irks me, and it did, like, the same thing with Tom Brady. Like, Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, hands down. You can't argue that. And, we're witnessing I feel like we're witnessing one of the great players in this league. Like, once Patrick Mahomes is done, I think we won't see anybody that is able to put a career together like him. And I know he's still got, plenty of time, in the future, he might not ever win another Super Bowl, but you have to appreciate it while it's here. And I know I'm one to hate on LeBron, but, like, people hated on Brady, and if anybody had a reason to hate Brady, it was me, because of what he did to the Falcons and all that. But I freaking love Tom Brady. He was the greatest to ever play and will always be the greatest. And I just don't understand why people hate on greatness so much. And like I said, I know I hate on LeBron sometimes, but I give him his due. He's probably if he's not number 1, he's number 2. Put it that way.
I think that's where you kind of, I would put him pretty much 2 at this point, and it's not just because accolades or anything. It's the ability to win, and he's done it time and time again. I have nothing. I mean, as much as I hate Patrick Mahomes, I also have the utmost respect for everything that he has done. And, I mean, when early on, I was the same guy that's yelling, Patty McGoat, giving him his praise. So I got all the love in the world for him. But talk about the Bills, though. This is a big win against they needed this.
This was a must win. This is a must win for them. They had to win this game, and to come and do it against a conference rival like that, and in the fashion that they won, I mean, they show they can compete with anybody.
Anybody, yeah.
And, good for Buffalo. Good for Josh Allen. I mean, I've said some disparaging words about Josh Allen this season, but I got to give him props whenever he does, whenever he pulls a win like this out. So that could be a playoff matchup in the future. So
I'd like to see these two. I mean, obviously they've had their matchups in the past, but I'd love to see them run it back again for a big playoff series. It would make me more than ecstatic. I think this is one of the, obviously Josh, it was like the first meeting of the future generation was that Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes playoff games, and you're like, oh, we get to see this for years to come. I mean, and this one was no different. There was obviously some shit, and it got, people riled up. So I'm excited to see what comes of the Bills. They're fighting for their lives, so I kind of tune in to watch the Bills every week because I know Josh Allen is going to be trying to play Superman ball, so you're either going to see something awesome or something that's extremely bad. Let's talk about these Broncos who make a bounce back week. 24-7 over the Chargers. The Chargers lose Justin Herbert for the year. They're done. Call it a season. Wrap it up. Put it away. Well, I think they still got Max Duggan from THC. They still got Max Duggan.
Get your mind out of the gutter.
Good Lord. They still got Max Duggan from TCU.
They got
Broncos,
Easton
Russell
Stick.
Wilson. They got Easton Stick. Such a name. That's a baseball name. He should have played baseball.
No.
Easton Stick. I mean, it's essentially a bat. Lord. Broncos 24. Chargers 7. Russell Wilson 224 in the air. 2 tutties. Quentin Johnston leads the Chargers in receiving yards, which is good for his namesake because everybody was shitting on him. 3 receptions, 91 yards. Only 3 receptions, but puts together some yards. That's good. Broncos fighting for their lives too. 7-6. What we got? Like 5-6 teams down there. 7-6.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the parity we have in the league this year. Very competitive year this year as far as records go. But yeah, Broncos, great bounce back win for them. Sean Payton, I think he has found a groove with this team. I think I say it every week. Well, the past, few weeks I've been saying it. Russell Wilson able to do what he needs to do. Not prolific numbers, but solid numbers. 224 through the air, 2 touchdowns and a pick. I think the defense is really the main reason why they've had this incredible run. The defense, ever since they got 70 dropped on them, it seems like they took that, obviously you're going to take that to heart. You're going to have a chip on your shoulder for the rest of the year saying, we don't want to be known as the guys who got 70 put up on them. We want to be known as the guys who won 5 out of 6 and made the playoffs.
Yeah. And it's saving face for Russell Wilson at this point, I think, putting this together. I mean, this is saving the storyline of the legacy of his career.
Yes, and I think it's justifying the contract. And, because we were talking about this could be Russell's last year in Denver because of how, they started 1-5, but now the past 6-7 weeks, he's played well enough to where like, man, they could be, if they started out this hot, or this well in the season, at the beginning of the season, they could be a 10-win, 12-win team easily.
Yeah. It took him a while to figure it out.
Yeah, he's kind of earned his spot for next year is kind of what I was getting at.
Yeah. At least
next year.
Start the year. Yeah, at least next year, the start of next year, I think. And I'm happy for Russ. He's a good guy. I know he's corny and all, and he gets a lot of bad rap, but I know he works on his game. He works on who he is. And I like Sean Payton, so good for the Broncos. Chargers, I just don't understand how.
I can't wait for Brandon Staley to get fired, man. I'm so ready for Justin Herbert to actually get like a decent coach. Because I think if Herbert had a decent coach and just offensive system that suits him, I think he could be elite. Yeah. But he just hasn't had the opportunity, in my opinion.
Yeah, it hasn't been fair. Which I heard inklings of Harbaugh leaving Michigan for the Chargers because of how much he loves Herbert, which I think is something to keep an eye out on. It'd be interesting to keep an eye out on. All right, let's go to the most disappointing game of the night, which was the Eagles' Sunday night performance against the Cowboys. No offensive touchdown, only the Jalen Carter touchdown and 2 field goals. Eagles lose 13-33 to the Cowboys. Cowboys 7-0 at home. Dak Prescott 271, 2 touchdowns. What a letdown. What a sad game. What a performance. I think Brian Johnson needs to fucking go. What a letdown of an offensive coordinator. I know I've sent you stuff of how our offense does not scheme anybody open. And you watch this game, and it is disgusting how, you understand why you understand why Jalen Hurts is holding on to the ball the way that he is, because nobody is getting open, and every throw that he has to make is a 50-50 ball, and it makes him look bad. No, we have no offensive scheme. We've literally ran away from running the ball. We have a backfield full of talented guys. There's no reason we don't run the ball, play action, open it up, throw some crossers. A.J. Brown only came across the field twice. Everything else was a fade or a deep slant towards the middle. It wasn't even at the middle. It's disgusting. I'm upset about it. I want Sirianni to take over play calling. And that is my vent on the Eagles because I'm infuriated. We're still 10-3. We're still tied for first in the division. Got an easy schedule coming up, as you've mentioned, but fuck.
Yeah, I think Sirianni's going to have a lot to say. There's probably going to be a lot of changes made this week, getting ready for Seattle. Yeah, I feel like they got bullied. I feel like the defense got bullied. The offensive line kind of got bullied. And that's really what Philadelphia's whole shtick is like. We play bully ball. We tush push. We're a physical football team. And it seems like, whether it's just the lack of rest, being banged up, it seems like the defense has just gotten kind of pushed around the past couple weeks. And going into Dallas plays better at home than on the road by far. Probably, the best team at home right now. Yeah. They're on an absolute roll right now. I think, how many have they won in a row? Is it 4 in a row?
Yeah, 4 in a row.
They've won 4 in a row. And so, hey, we won 5 in a row. But we got to give them their flowers whenever they do well. If, we hate on them. I hate to say it, but Dallas is a contender this year. They're thinking soupy. And, I hate that they, won by 20 points, but they were just a better team. I think Philadelphia needs to get rested up. They need to get rested up. And like you said, they got to figure something out offensively. They've got weapons on weapons on weapons, but you can't run the same tired old pass concepts whenever nobody's getting open. You got to try new things, putting wrinkles in, use motion like you were talking about.
Something, move
Get
people
guys out on
across.
the edge,
Yeah.
get them in the open field.
At this point, that's all that I can ask for is just move guys across, please. That's what we need. That's what's
And they
gonna
have
work.
to, yeah, they can't. I feel like they have gone away from the heart and soul of the offense, which is the offensive line and physicality and running the ball.
Yeah.
You know, when DeAndre Swift is hitting the holes, that opens up your entire offense. So good for the Cowboys. Philly needs to bounce back.
No, we can only hope. Please, we got an easier schedule coming up, so I'm hoping for the best performance that we can put together against the Commanders. That would be at least happiness if we could pull out a win here. I know that, or not the Commanders, the Giants. And Tommy DeVito has been doing things, so hopefully we can figure it out and put one together for old time's sake and save ourselves a season. All right, let's talk Monday night games. We have the Titans thriller against the Dolphins. I thought the Dolphins had put it away in the fourth quarter, but Will Levis and Derrick Henry find a way to come back, win this game 28-27 in the closing minutes. Wow, Will Levis, what a dog. What a dog, Will Levis.
I mean, he's built different, you know? I mean,
Built different.
Just what a prime example of never giving up, never being out of it. You know, but good on the Titans. I'm not going to lie. I totally checked out of that game after they had turned the ball over twice and with like 5 minutes to go. And the Dolphins had gone up by 2 scores. I was like, it's over. Like, there's no way they're getting back in it. And then, like, not even 10 minutes later, boom, they're right in position to kick a field goal and win the game. So, Dolphins, absolute frauds. I don't believe in them. They haven't beat anybody who could even be considered a good team. The Titans were 4-8 before this game.
Yeah.
And you had it in the bag with 3 minutes to go and you can't finish. I don't believe in Miami at all. Total frauds. So
the Titans are frisky and fun. I like them.
Yes, they are. They could play spoiler here. They're not going to make the playoffs, but they could ruin somebody's season. You know, they could definitely play spoiler here.
Yeah. I know D Hop is loving the fact that Levis can throw that deep ball to him. I know Hopkins is like, finally somebody can put the ball in the air and get it to me. And the interview after the game where Hopkins is like, we saw a dog today. I was like, it feels good to know that the guy that was he went through the ringer. Levis did, with all the media stuff that went on. This is good for him, and I'm happy for him. I'm happy for Titans fans. This is like the saving grace of the season because it was ugly early. So
it's still ugly, but good win.
Good win. Dolphins, you're frauds. I don't like you. Glad this is your first home loss of the season, but it is what it is when you're a fraud. These Monday night games were really good, and the last one that was good in this slate was Tommy DeVito's Giants upset the Packers. The Packers took the lead with about 1:40 left in the game, and Tommy DeVito took the boys down the field. Let the kicker put up a field goal, win the game. Saquon had 2 touchdowns. Sucks for the Packers, but the Giants might have found somebody in Tommy DeVito. They got to keep him around, him and his agent at least. I mean, keep him on roster. Dude's gonna get paid.
Tommy Meatballs, Tommy Cutlets, coming through with another victory. I talked down on his name last week, and he proved me wrong once again. What are you going to do about it, huh? Fuck, man. I can't believe they won that game. I took the Packers -5.5. I figured for sure, Green Bay's going to find a way to cover. But, man, what a story for Tommy DeVito, the New York kid. It showed his dad and his agent. I guess the guy in the fedora was his agent. And, man, what a fucking character that guy looks like. I mean, it looks like somebody straight out of a fucking, like a Scorsese film or something. Fucking made man.
You have to keep the guy around just for the PR and the seat selling, the ticket selling.
Yeah, because he's a New York kid, man. He's a hometown kid. New Yorkers love New Yorkers. I mean, I know you've got Daniel Jones, but if he's able to, if DeVito's able to win like this, fuck it. Who cares?
Yeah, at this point,
you need something to root for. Yeah, exactly. And Dayball is, I think it flies under the radar how good of a coach Dayball actually is, as far as with quarterbacks. Because look at what he did with Josh Allen. He leaves, Josh Allen takes a dip, and now he's winning with some kid named Tommy DeVito.
Old Tommy.
So it's not pretty. It's not flashy. It's not gonna, it's not gonna blow you away. But they hang in tough and find a way to win. So props to the Giants. Props to DeVito. I hope they win out. Fuck it.
Yeah, this is the NFL. I mean, wins are wins at the end of the day. So you can't be mad that at Tommy for finding a way, even if it is ugly. Wins are wins, especially wins against teams that are fighting for their lives. I mean, Tommy DeVito.
Yeah, and the Packers come in, like I said, they came in 5.5-point favorites, and Love has played well the last 3 weeks, and they were able to get to him. That defense has shown promise. Wink Martindale, he's got some exotic schemes he likes to draw up there. So I think Giants have something to build with here.
Yeah,
I'm not saying DeVito is the future, like you said. I think he's just. It's fun. It's energizing. It's something to pay attention to.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. As for the Packers, I think they'll be fine. They just were catching a confident, hot quarterback at the moment. Wrong place, wrong time. Packers, I think they're still in good position. All right, that does it for the recap of Week 14. Murph, let's run down Week 15 real quick. We'll get it done quick. I'll start us off. We have Thursday night. The Justin Herbert-less Chargers take on the Aiden O'Connell Raiders. I'm going to take the Raiders here.
Yeah, I'm going Vegas as well. I just don't think. I mean, Chargers were bad with Herbert in the lineup. They're going to be probably unwatchable without Herbert in the lineup. So I'm going Vegas.
Going Vegas. All right, we actually have Saturday games this week. Saturday, December 16th, we have the Vikings going to Cincinnati to play the Bengals, which you'll be at. We're going to talk about.
Actually, yeah. I will be at this game, and I will be rooting for Cincinnati here.
Let's go. The Jake Browning game. So I'm pulling for the Bengals here. I know the Vikings have had a great story this season, but I'm pulling for the Bengals. Go Bengals. Who you got?
Cincinnati.
Yes, sir. Cincinnati. All right. We have the Steelers at the Colts. A couple reeling offenses. I'm going to take the Steelers to get right.
Yeah, I think Pittsburgh bounces back here. There's no way they lose 3 in a row, especially two of the worst teams in the league. Indianapolis is, like you said, they're a scrappy team, but I just don't think I think Pittsburgh's defense is going to save the day.
The steel wall shows up yet again. All right, we have a Saturday night game at 8:15. It is the Broncos going to Detroit to take on the Lions. I think the Broncos can win this game. I'm going to take the Broncos here.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I kind of like the Broncos as well, but I think that Detroit is a different team at home in the Dome.
That's true. Oh, that's tough. The Broncos.
I'm going to take Detroit here. I think they're good pissed off. Dan Campbell's going to have them fired up, ready to go. They got to make a statement. They need a good win, a good showing to show that they're not frauds.
Yeah. I like that pick. I'm going to ride the Broncos because that's what I said off rip. I'm not going to switch up on it, but I do think I'll end up regretting that one. All right, Sunday, 1 o'clock slate. We have the Bears going to Cleveland to take on the Browns. As good as the Bears have been, I don't think Fields will be able to move as he does against this Browns defense. So I'm going to take the Browns here.
This is a tough one as well. I mean, this is a good matchup. I don't know.
It is a good matchup.
You would think that Cleveland would win at home with that defense, but Chicago's defense is pretty damn good. They're playing pretty damn well as well. I think I'm going to go Cleveland, but I would not be surprised if Chicago wins this game.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough one for me. I do got to take Cleveland. I do think it'll be a lower scoring game, but take the under in this one, people. Take the under in this one. All right, 1 o'clock slate. We also have the Buccaneers going to Green Bay to play the Packers. Off rip, I'm just going to take the Packers.
Yeah, I think Green Bay bounces back. Jordan Love's going to find a way to get through on Tampa Bay secondary.
Yes, sir. Green Bay taking that one there. 1 o'clock slate. We have the Texans going to Tennessee to play the Titans. I don't know if CJ Stroud is playing. I'm assuming he's in concussion protocol. If he's not, it's Davis Mills. And they just don't look good with Davis Mills. They don't have Tank Dell.
Yeah, they're hobbled offensively. If Stroud doesn't play, I'm taking Tennessee. I'm taking Tennessee because I don't think Stroud's going to play.
Yeah, I'm taking Tennessee as well without Stroud. All right, we have the Jets going to the Dolphins, inter-division rival. I don't know. Oh,
I'm going with New York here.
I want to take the Jets. I do. We don't know if Tyreek's completely healthy. I know he's got a hobbled ankle. The Jets' defense is legit. I'm just going to take the Dolphins and give them the benefit of the doubt, even though I do believe they are frauds. They're 5-1 at home. Their first loss was this last week on, a last-minute let down. So I'm going to take the Dolphins. All right, 1 o'clock slate. We also have the Chiefs going to New England to play the Patriots. It would be something if the Patriots defense stifled Patrick Mahomes. But I think Mahomes comes in pissed off and win this game.
Yeah, I look out for an explosion here for the Chiefs offense. I think they're going to be motivated to prove everybody, wrong. I think New England had their, breakout game against Pittsburgh, and now they're going to pack it in and lose so they can get that draft pick.
Yes, sir.
I think they have no interest in winning this game.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at with it. I think the Chiefs go ahead and win this game. There's a lot of 1 o'clock games. We have the New York Giants going to New Orleans to play the Saints. I want this to be the game where Derek Carr loses his job. So I'm going to say that Tommy DeVito boys go ahead and win this one. I'm going to say they win this one against the Saints.
Yeah, I wish I could. I wish I could, but I just think New Orleans wins at home.
You gonna take New Orleans here? I like that. I mean, I'm not against it. It's tough for me. I want to say Saquon and the boys handle business on their end, but we'll see how things play out in that aspect. All right, we have another 1 o'clock game, which is the Falcons going to Carolina to play the Panthers. I could definitely see where the Falcons flub up and let the Panthers end up winning this game, but I'll also not give the Panthers that benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say the Falcons get right here.
Yeah, I'm going to go Atlanta as well. We're bad, but we're not that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah. It'd be tough. It'd be tough if you guys lost to the Panthers. You need to fire your coach. All right, we have 4:05. Commanders going to L.A. to face the Rams. I'm going to take L.A. Kyron Williams and the boys do their thing. I think Stafford will throw all over that defense.
Yeah, I'm taking L.A.
Yes,
They're hot right now. They've got some momentum.
They were playing well. All right, we have the 49ers going to Arizona to play the Cardinals. Cardinals have been playing better since the return of Kyler Murray, but the 49ers are too damn good. Going 49ers and a blowout.
Yeah, Niners win big here. Spread is 13.5. I don't know if they cover that, but I'd say they at least win by 10 or 11.
Yeah, I'd say 10 or 11. All right, we have 425 Cowboys going to Buffalo to play the Bills. I could see this being a letdown game for the Cowboys, as hot as they've been.
Well,
But I'm going to take the Cowboys.
Buffalo comes in at a 2.5-point favorite. Well, that tells me that Vegas knows something we don't know.
Yeah, that's wild. The 2.5-point favorites.
Yeah, but I'm going to go Dallas here as well.
Yeah, I'm taking Dallas here. But Cowboys are 3-3 on the road. Ooh, Bills 5-2 at
And the
home.
Bills are a pretty decent team, so Dallas,
I wouldn't be shocked if the Bills won. I wouldn't be shocked.
I wouldn't be either at all.
All right, 8:20 game. We have the Ravens going down to Jacksonville to play the Jaguars. I think the Ravens will handle business against the Jaguars. Jaguars will fall to 8-6.
Yeah, I don't think Trevor Lawrence is healthy right now. Baltimore, they just look like a freight train. They win any way they can. They win big. They win in overtime. They win close games. They're just a good, solid team right now. I'm taking Baltimore.
Yes, sir. All right, the last game is the game that was flexed into Monday night, which is the Eagles going to Seattle. With some rest, finally. Play the Seahawks.
Yeah. Hate it for Seattle because, they've lost 4 in a row, and I feel like they're probably going to lose 5 in a row here. Philly, they're on a 2-game losing streak right now. They have those questions on offense. I feel like this is a get-right game for them. They come in at a 4-point favorite. I think they cover.
I could see it definitely where they cover. It's like very much a possibility that they cover this game.
They have to figure something out in the secondary, though. That's one thing I didn't say earlier that I meant to say is Philly, they have to figure something out in the secondary.
I fucking hope they can figure something out, dude. I'm beyond nervous. Beyond nervous at this point. It feels like the wheels are falling off of a well put together wagon, and I don't really know what to do, man. It's just like you just kind of sit back and pray for the best. I don't know. I'm gonna take the Birds.
That's all you can do sometimes.
I'm gonna take the Birds and pray that we can put one together for old time's sake. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that is our Week 15 picks. Shit. I don't know what I'm going to do for Bet of the Week, truthfully. I'm very in between on a few things.
I'm taking New York Giants +6 against the Saints.
That.
Over under is 37.5. Man, I'm gonna go under here.
I like that a lot. I think I'm gonna take Baltimore -3.5 on the road, and the over under is 43.5. And I want to take the over on this.
Okay. Got them locked in.
Yes, sir. All right. Tell me what you think about this huge deal, and then I'll give you my. We're gonna talk Shohei Ohtani real quick and a little bit of LeBron. We'll get you guys out of here. Thanks for sticking with us through that long segment of.
Yeah, we'll save the tier talk for next week.
Yeah, we're gonna have to because we're running long as it is. It was a little elongated week. There was a lot of good football. All right, let's start here. You saw the deal with Ohtani. $700 million, and it doesn't kick in to get $68 million a year until 2034. He has deferred the payments to get $2 million a year, so allowing the Dodgers to go out and still capitalize on free agents and trade market and all that, keep them competitive for years. Basically, he's going to end up being the new Bobby Bonilla. He's the King Griffey Jr. for the Reds. He's going to get paid for the rest of time. And, I mean, $700 million. When I saw that, like, obviously, Kayla doesn't know anything about contracts and professional sports. I told her $700 million, and just the look, and you can see people's brains working, their mind around how large of a number that is. It's actually absurd. $700 million.
Yeah, over 12 years. That's pretty crazy. But what's even crazier, well, I don't know. I don't know how it all works, but somebody else, I was reading something and it was talking about California state taxes and how he'll end up paying over half of that into taxes. But if he lives in Japan, who knows?
That's the thing. If his house is based in Japan, his home, he does have an LA home, which I think is why he deferred the payments to be $2 million a year until 2034, is so that by the time it's 2034, he's probably on the back of his career. He doesn't have much time left in LA. If anything, he's out of the league by then. Back living in Japan, the $68 million a year is going to be income while he's living in Japan.
Either way you slice it, he's filthy rich, and his grandchildren will be filthy rich. But I think the main point here is that this is something that it seems like it's beneficial, but I think this is one of the things that is holding baseball back, is because there's no cap. There's no,
that's what I want to say.
There's no cap, and so players are able to defer their contracts out, which helps the team, but overall it hurts the league because there's no parity. There's no chance for a team who can't spend as much money to compete with teams like LA, New York Yankees, New York Mets, with these big, huge markets. It kind of just handicaps the smaller markets to where they're not able to compete. I mean, yeah, we saw Arizona in the World Series this year, but how often do you see like an underdog team come out of nowhere that doesn't have 3 or 4 or 5 major contracts on their roster?
Right.
And so it's a benefit, but it's also a detriment as well, because it hurts the bottom half of the league.
It's sad because, obviously myself as a Reds fan, it's like you watch these, of course it was the Dodgers. It was either the Dodgers or the Yankees, or maybe even the Mets who could have pulled it off, but apparently he didn't want to play in New York. Obviously he wanted to be closer to Japan. He's already he's already got a home in LA, but of course it's the Dodgers who can, write it up to do $700 million. Cincinnati could never do that. And it just hurts because that is the future of baseball now. Obviously you're paying for 2 players with Ohtani. So if he split it that way, he's getting 2 $350 million contracts, which is respectively what one generational player is worth. But it's sad for baseball. And it's also great for baseball in the same breath. You see these deals happen, and you're happy for the guy, and knowing that he's deserving, and knowing that this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. But in the same breath, it's like I can't be happy because I'm sad. I'm sad because I know my team can't ever do that.
Yeah, it's an issue that I feel like baseball is going to have to address, because just for the competitiveness of the league, you're going to have to put a cap on the amount of money that teams can spend. That way you don't have players deferring their money out 10 years, and you have teams paying, 20, 30, 40 years down the line paying the same guy. But hey, that's how, European football, soccer is. All these teams, they just throw money at players and get the best players and win. So it's just a different culture, different, kind of different vibe for the MLB. But hey, happy for Ohtani, but fuck the Dodgers. I don't like the Dodgers, man. No, but I'm glad he didn't go to I would rather him go to the Dodgers than the Yankees. Let's put it that way.
That's what I was about to say. As disappointing as it is, in the same breath, it's also, thank God he didn't go to the damn Yankees. Which there was a rumbling that he was, on a flight to Toronto, which I think that would have been a fun story. I just don't see how it could have worked out. I thought he was going to go to Toronto to kind of capitalize on that whole market, which that would have been fun. That would have been something, really entertaining. But good for Shohei Ohtani. Good for, the rest of the players who are going to get a shit ton of money because Ohtani set the precedent to, go out and get a bag, pursue everything. I hope it changes the way baseball is viewed as to where, players can be two-way talents now. And I'm hoping he's opening the door for that. Let's talk about LeBron and this play-in tournament. I know that you brought it up. I didn't watch any of this play-in tournament. I really haven't tuned into anything in the NBA, but I know that this is good for LeBron's legacy because it is the first, and he's kind of setting the standard to go, all right, if we're going to do this thing, I'm going to go ahead and win it. At his age, I mean, I don't know if anybody else is taking it serious, but it's still pretty cool to say that he's doing it, right?
Right. And I'm the same way. I didn't watch any of the actual tournament games, but I did watch the championship. It was LA versus Indiana Pacers. But I think this will age well for LeBron's legacy, for his career, because it's, they made it a big deal. They had confetti. They had, a big trophy that they handed out. And then they gave LeBron the MVP trophy. So I feel like this is something that's going to be a fixture. You have buy-in by the players. And I think it was designed really to get the players to compete more in the first half, because that's kind of why I faded away from NBA as much, is because in the first half of the season, they don't even hardly try to play, it feels like, and it's just like, I'm not really interested in that, especially when you got football going on. And so I usually wouldn't even pay attention until after the All-Star break. But now I feel like they're trying to garner more attention for that first run of the season. And that way now you can ensure that guys are going out night in and night out, giving their best effort, instead of just mailing it in some days or saying, oh, I've got a sore back, or, whatever they have to say to not have to play that day.
Yeah. And
so I think 10, 20 years down the road, we might look at it as like, damn, LeBron was the first, I just think it'll look better. It'll look good on his resume at the end of his career.
I think you're speaking in the right fortitude. I think a lot of people are shitting on it because it's like, it's a Mickey Mouse ball. You know what I'm saying? But in the same breath, it's also respectable that, like, if he's going to fucking play it, he might as well win it, right?
Right. And I think he's trying to rack up as much as he can, especially after the bubble championship, Yeah. So he's trying to stat pat a little bit, and because at the end of the day, everybody knows he's trying to catch Jordan. So he's trying to do whatever he can to fucking cement the fact that in a lot of people's eyes, he's better than Jordan.
Yeah.
And it was like I was talking about earlier, man, I've been a staunch LeBron hater my entire life, ever since he went to Miami. But even I have to give the man his props. He is one of the best players, if not the best. Like I said, if he's not one, he's two for sure. Like at this point, there's not really a debate to be had for anybody else.
Yeah. I respect that. I think that's the best way to put it. Shout out LeBron, shout out the Lakers. Good on them if they're going to play it, might as well win it. All right, Murph, you have anything else that you would like to add on to this before we head on out of here?
No, man, just appreciate you listening. Hit the like and subscribe, follow button, whatever. I'll let JD give his spiel. He's better at it.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this episode of Real Conversations with Cozy and Murph, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to us. We are now running on YouTube. You can follow pretty much all of our accounts through the link tree to find out pretty much everything. Check out our Patreon for some more exclusive content. And
Hey,
by all
don't
means,
forget,
ladies and
check out our end of the year episode.
yes, sir. It is coming out. I'm still working on it. I'll crank it out. It'll be maybe a Christmas present for everybody if they like us or not. A little early Christmas present. Same as last year. We'll probably crank it out earlier than expected, just like the first episode, which we didn't even mention. This is our 1 year, pretty much. Well, we recorded like the 8th or something. I don't know. It took me like a week to. But 1 year ago, yesterday, we dropped our first episode. So it's crazy how far we've come over a year. It's exciting. We've grown a lot. I mean, we're doing damn good numbers, better than I expected at least. So it's very exciting times and an exciting thing to be a part of. I know Murph's happy to be here and doing all this shit every week. It gives me a sense of purpose, I feel like.
Yeah, it seems like it's gone by fast, man. I wouldn't. Yeah. It hasn't felt like a whole year, and it hasn't felt like we've put out that many episodes.
Yeah, 50. This will be 53. 53 of these bad boys.
Hey, we gotta keep our nose to the grindstone.
Yes, sir. Tell your mama, tell your family, tell your grandma, tell somebody about us. Or don't tell me, because I'm the one that does it. All right, Murph, let's get out of here. Peace.
Peace.